Okay, of course it's always tough to play a final. You have to prepare for it. And is it making it tougher, not knowing if Messi is going to play, going to start, is going to be on the bench?
No, we're pretty sure he'll play, and we'll prepare for them in that way. You know, they've got some options if that isn't the case for him and Alba, but we'll prepare for their best lineup unless we hear something more concrete.
Coach, you've spoken all season about a winning mentality and the type of culture you tried to instill when you got here. When and how did you realize that that was what this team was accomplishing, that the guys were, buying into that?
When you win. Unfortunately, there's only one way to create a winning culture, and that's to get 3 points. And so we've been able to do that in different ways at different rates. And so early in the year, we'd pick them up every now and then. Every 2-3 games, we'd get a win. We protected our home in the right way. So that just breeds confidence, and that's a big part of creating a winning culture. It's buy-in. So it's because it's really hard to stand up in front of the guys and sell something if you're not getting those 3 points. It's not working on game day. So again, we've been lucky enough to squeeze a few early, and I think that momentum has been built, and now we're again in a fairly good spot. We have a great opportunity here Wednesday, and a great opportunity after that. But there's still so much work to do.
There wasn't one result or a string of results where you were like, all right, I think we're really getting it.
No, part of this, was that we had a blank canvas, and we brought in guys that were used to winning. You look at the guys that have been brought in. There's several of them with MLS Cup tattoos all over the body, and guys that have been in Europe that were holding trophies. So that was thought out, and that wasn't by surprise or by accident. So that it's credit to a lot of these players that they're used to a winning culture, and a lot of them have come from that. So that there wasn't as much baggage with this group coming in. Only baggage is with me, really.
Coach, at the beginning of the season, did you have the Open Cup final in mind?
No. Nobody has the Open Cup final in mind. It just doesn't. I mean, maybe some have it in mind, but the Open Cup, the road to the Open Cup final is it's a circus. You're going to. You're playing, I've said it before, you're playing kind of quote-unquote second teams early in the tournament. You're going against USL teams that this is their Super Bowl. And again, I've said it before, we should have lost to Tampa. Tampa kicked our ass, and we snuck by that one. And then, we were down a man against, who was it? KC. So that's certainly... we grinded that game, and then we were up a man in Minnesota. Yeah, I think they got it. Again, it's the Open Cup. Refereeing's a little bit shaky at times because it is. But then you get into the quarters and the semis, and then you dial it up, and that's kind of been the formula for me ever since I've started coaching. And but again, I have a lot of respect for this tournament. I'm a romantic with it. I love the idea of amateur clubs and then USL clubs, and I've always loved the FA Cup and the cups around the world and these stories of smaller teams beating bigger teams. And so we've treated it with respect. Right, it hasn't always been maybe our best group on the lineup sheet, but we always treat it with the utmost respect. But no, when I got here, being in the Open Cup final wasn't top on the list.
Along with that, you probably are the underdog in this matchup.
Says who?
I guess the world. But
All
what
right.
does it mean for you and the club to know that everybody will be watching this final?
The motivation, first and foremost, is lifting a trophy for, because this is what we do this for. This is why I coach, and this is why these guys work hard every day for each other, and it's just a rare opportunity. You just don't get this, in a course of a career. You don't get a lot of opportunities, most players, to hold a trophy, and so that's the motivation. The kind of the hoopla of Miami now, and the star players, and the eyes that will be on the game. Great, we need visibility. This club needs more of that, and I think people undersell us. I think people, we're trying to win back fans here and kind of restart a culture that maybe has been a little bit off for the last decade. And this is just another chance for us to further this club and reward the fans that have been coming out all year and kind of help restart this proud club.
Yeah, Coach, I remember when you were appointed, I spoke to you exclusively that day and I asked you some questions, and one that still struck my memory is when I asked you, did you give yourself target on what to achieve in this club for the time frame? And you said I should ask you later in your business with the team. Now, looking at how far you've come both in the MLS, you're in the cusp of picking up a playoff thing, also in the US Open Cup Finals. How fulfilled are you with the achievement in a short period so far with this team?
I wish it worked that way. I'm not very fulfilled at all. It's just, we don't really allow ourselves to kind of pat yourselves on the back for what we've done so far, because we haven't done anything. We've gained some points. We've put ourselves in a good spot for these two objectives of making the playoffs and holding the trophy. But if we don't do either of those, it's going to be a very disappointing offseason. So, that's where my brain lives and constantly, and I think that's where our players, fortunately, are living right now too. They've a big opportunity and just a wonderful chance to hold a trophy. But again, we've done all this work to get to a spot, and we want to kind of fulfill this run. And then we're not in the playoffs, so no, we got a lot of work to do.
What is the current state of the playing squad at the moment ahead of this finals against Intermiami on Wednesday?
One more time?
The current state of the squad.
We're fairly healthy. The last game, we managed a few minutes, and as they did. So I think you're looking at two teams that are that'll be full strength, and hopefully it's an entertaining game. Hopefully it's a fun game. And one that's a spectacle.
To look back through your career, I mean, you've frequently, I feel like, relished the chance to kind of be a spoiler, cause a little chaos. And this seems to me, on the surface, like maybe with everybody watching this game, I mean, there are very few people who expect you to win, or who would even want you to win. And you have to enjoy that a little bit, right?
Yeah, I do. You've known me for a while. I lived in that space for a decade with DC United, and we always kind of seem to be the underdog. And I think these players in particular and this organization is used to that, and I think we relish in that. But you got to be careful of always drawing on that as the underdog, because it does get a little bit old, and sometimes you undersell yourself. And so we have to make sure that we understand that this is going to be we're going to need to be at our best to get this result, and understand that we are the underdog, but also have the right confidence in who we are and sticking to what we do. Of course, there's some tactical adjustments that you have to do for Miami, but still staying to the course and making sure we show up in the right way and play the way we can.
I'd just like two more quick ones. Like watching, Messi and MLS and watching all these other games, and there is an element with players. It's undeniable that like opponents, defenders can be a little awestruck you see it in the way that he's sort of treated on the field, the reverence people have. I mean, do you notice that? Is it something that you've sort of prepared your players for? Do you suspect that that would even be an issue with the squad? Is it unavoidable? You know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I don't know till this all goes down. I hope not. I hope we go after him in the same way we would go after all the other great tens that we meet. He's okay. He's different than, and he's on a whole nother level of anybody we've ever seen. But it doesn't mean we go after him in any different way than we would the Heels of the world, or the Mukhtars, or these key players that are highly influential week in, week out. Yes, again, I'm not underselling him. He is who he is, and he's a remarkable player. But relishing in this opportunity that we have to play this team and with the individuals they have is, I think, the right mentality that we should have. Being in all of them, I wouldn't think that would be an issue, but you never know.
I mean, is it, like you said, you play good players, great players even all the time, and you prepare for good teams all the time. Is there anything different about preparing for Miami? I mean, I feel like that player that is a pretty singular force when he wants to be.
Yeah, you can do everything right against him by the book, and there's been thousands of coaches that have tried to stop him, and thousands of coaches have failed constantly. So I don't have the magic bullet to stop Messi. No one has proven that they do have that. But of course, that we're all trying to do the same thing: limit his space and condense the areas. And there's all these little tricks that you can do to try to limit him. But they've also put together a very good supporting cast around him. So now you dial in too much there, and there's a lot of other guys that can hurt you. And you see what he's done in elevating others around him. Wayne Rooney's an example. These guys step into the locker room, and now these other guys, there's just 1 or 2 more percentage points that they give on a daily basis, and they become kind of more than their average self. So it's I think they've done an incredible job of putting a very talented roster together in a very brief amount of time. It's been remarkable. I don't think we've ever seen any type of whole team transformation like this in the league's history. And it's been quality, and you see young players in Argentina and that maybe wouldn't be coming here that are relishing in the opportunity of coming to play with him. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
What if you do have that magic bullet on Wednesday, and if you can beat Messi in Miami and win this trophy, what would that mean for you as a coach and as a team?
Just that it would be another step in the right direction for this club. It would mean that we're moving a little faster than maybe we thought in some ways, but it'll be there's a lot of work to do before I can kind of picture that moment. We've got 2 more days of full preparation on them, and making sure our players are very clear on their roles, and then the whistle blow, and I'm going to try my best to enjoy this game. These moments don't happen very often.
Does it help at all? Back in 2007, I believe you played against Messi in Argentina, and you've also played against teams coached by Tata. Does that help as a coach with your team getting ready for this game?
Playing against him has nothing to do with this game.
No, but just
no. It's a good question. Thanks for bringing that up. It was again, playing. It's you're a little bit more selfish as a player, and he was younger. Coaching against Tata many times, it helps in some ways. He's also played against me a few times as well. So I've always enjoyed the battles with him. DC and I did in Atlanta. we always had some fun matches. So I got a lot of respect for him as a coach and as a human as well. He's always been very gracious with his time with me. So I don't know, maybe a little bit, maybe it helps, but as familiar you are with somebody else or a team, it usually goes both ways.
Yeah. To get the best, you've normally had a better record at home. How do you think you can do that without the fans, but knowing that you have that fan support at home? Yeah,
and we'll have family and friends, and I think there's some a bunch of people from Houston coming to the game, so we'll have enough support in there. It's a small building, and we know people here. They're going to send some good energy from Texas.
Hey, Coach, on Wednesday I was at the game, and I was in the first half, maybe the first 15 minutes, we already conceded 2 free kicks, and I was saying, we don't have to do this against Messi. How focused are you in not giving those chances?
Yeah, it's everything. Every area of the game we're gonna need to be sharp in, and giving up silly set pieces and is going to be part of it. Obviously, the delivery's real, and particularly in and around the box, and but we'll dissect that, and we'll make sure we're dialed in, moving our feet, make sure we don't give up too many fouls.
Coach, does it help at all having guys like Eric or Hector who have gone up against Messi to play a part in this game?
Yeah, no, for sure. We've talked to Hector a little bit about his experience, but again, he's there. We all know he's can change the game at any moment, and he's the best player in the world. We all get that, but it's about preparing for him. But it's really, it's still a group. It's still a really good team, and we're focused on tweaking a few things to try to limit some of their key players, of course. But that's no different than we do every game. So that's kind of our process. We're not going to deviate too much from that process, other than the same tweaks that we would do for any other team that have certain profile players that we need to be aware of, and kind of adapt what we would do on a regular basis.
All right, guys, we'll wrap up with that one.
Good?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
One third, coming.